So the ongoing policy reforms in India's defense sector, such as FDI limit up to 74%, corporatization of Ordnance Factory Board, promulgation of the first positive and second positive for Indian and future initiatives, including Defense Production and Export Promotion Policy 2020, among the some, are significant contributors for India. Can we think that this is setting high goals for defense military industrial complex to bolster the strategic capabilities of the country?
Absolutely. And this is what I was trying to say, is that today we are seeing a huge, tremendous upswing in defense industrial ecosystem. There are drivers like greater participation of private industry in defense, something which had not happened in the past. And we are now using increasing ways to ensure greater participation, including budgetary measures to facilitate and encourage that. Since defense technology and IPR is so important in actually creating true self-reliance, we are today, moving on from manufacturing to defense R&D and defense innovation. And here again, the role of industry, startup, and academia is very important, and that is what we are trying to do. We have, as you know, I think the early shoots of the change that's happening are already there. Some examples I have said. I just want to share with you, in the last 2 years, more than 90% of all approvals for domestic equipment, for the equipment platforms that Indian Armed Forces are buying, are for indigenously make in India products. This is unprecedented. The effects of this may be seen in next 3 to 4 years, because it takes time. Approvals given this year, and then it will get made up, and by the time they get supplies, it takes 3 to 4 years. So which means it's near 100% when I say more than 90%. And as you have also possibly seen, today we are increasingly, our import is continuously coming down. We still have some old deals which are going on, but going future, there are no imports. But we are now getting to the export market. Today, we have entered among the top 25 defense exporters in the world. I don't think we can ever be satisfied with that position. We were the largest importer. We are climbing down from there. But exporter, we were never there. We have now reached 25, and we want to climb up from this now, further up, which is again sign of the maturity which the defense industrial ecosystem is achieving. Our shipyards are today making ships for Europe and South America, apart from Asia. Our, one of the largest destination of our exports is into USA. And I am happy to share with you, you mentioned about corporatization of OFB. OFB, which has hardly any export to its credit in the last 75 years of its, or at least in the last 50 years, after corporatization, one of its factories, Munitions India Limited, which is based out of Pune, has contracted a 600 crore order within the first few months with US, and the supply is underway. So I think corporatization has created its dynamism. I am happy to also say that there is significant improvement in the functioning of all the 7 new DPSUs which were formed from the erstwhile OFB. And that itself vindicates the fact that corporatization will bring in greater efficiency and greater energy, and will better the future of these organizations because of the efficiency that the new corporate sector brings in them.
Sir, we hear that defense PSUs have been given a task to get minimum 250 crore exports, to do minimum 250 crore exports in the first year of financial year, that is 2021 and 2022. that is ending March 31st. I mean, most of the PSUs are very optimistic and achieving those uh, exports of worth 250 crores. Just any views on that from your side?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 years back, defense export is a desire, is the uh, proclaimed goal of our defense policy. And we have targeted $5 billion of export. Each of the PSUs, as you have asked rightly, you have mentioned very rightly so, have been given targets depending on the potential. This is also part of the memorandum of agreement which they signed with the government, which means it is an officially communicated target to each of the PSUs. Many of the PSUs had offices abroad previously also, of defense PSUs, but those offices were mainly targeted at sourcing various components, spares, subsystems which they needed for their own product lines. For the first time, PSUs I have now started looking for export markets, which are sometimes different. For example, exports market in ASEAN, Africa, in Middle East, in Central Asia, and many DPSUs have opened export offices. And I'm happy to say, like I mentioned, I gave the example of Munition India, Bharat Electronics, HAL, BrahMos. Several of them are now GRSC, Goa Shipyard, and so on and so forth. Several of them are actually now able to strike export orders, which is also new beginning for them.
Sir, an amount of 1,000 crore were allocated dedicatedly for the startups for the first year, again this financial year ending March 31st. How many startups could have come to Defense Ministry and could avail this fund optimization, if you can?
So, we have today, I think, about 1,500 startups who are working in our ecosystem, who are actively participating in various startup challenges that are thrown, and we are funding them for the various development. That is from the iDEX side. And it's a very vibrant ecosystem and always clamoring for more, and we are very happy about that. As regards procurement, we are now in process of providing orders, and I'm forgetting the number. I think either it is 9 or 16 startups for which during this year we are processing the orders which will be placed on those startups who are prototypes have been tested and found suitable. Please understand this. These are all startups which would have come, maximum about 3 years back, but sometimes during the last 2 years or 1 year or so. And they are already testing. They have got their prototypes tested and passed from the armed forces. That is actually a great statement of happiness for all of us, that our startups are doing so well. Something which used to take 10 years for a new product development is happening now in matter of 1 or 2 years.
So can we see in internal discussions that the 1,000 crore budget exclusively for the startup ecosystem, there may be chance that you may double it or increase it further, going by the
absolutely. You see, this year we have said 25% of defense R&D budget will be used for various activities. And, I think we will see increase in this budget. And I would like to say, I think these budgets are only, ways to direct more energy, more innovation. We have always had a big, deficit in this direction. Today, it's a happy state that we see that a lot of people are coming and a lot of people are giving us. Budget would not be a constraint. And, I must also mention that since we are talking of budget, in the last 2 years, we have seen nearly 30% increase in our defense capital procurement budget. So modernization of forces is progressing or growing at a fast pace, and therefore I think we would like to encourage, and I would like to say that we encourage more startups to come into this field, develop more new ideas. Again, for want of time, there are ways by which they can respond to startup challenge. There are ways by which they can come up with their own ideas, and what is called as open challenge. They can actually pitch their solutions, even if there is no challenge formally launched by Defense Ministry. They can actually pose their own technology solution for the armed forces. They can pitch that solution, and that can be looked at.
Sir, do you see that India can open similar opportunities, what you are giving to startups in the country, academia and R&D and private industry? If someone comes from the international market, are we open to them?
So, the point is, as long as the two things here, one is we welcome FDI from abroad for various kind of technologies where there is no Indian technology that is there. That is the first point. So if the same product we have an Indian technology in defense, we would like to use the technology. Second thing is, when I say Indian, it is about technology being resident in India, which means that the IPR is being resident in India. And so those cases where the technology is resident in India, we are extremely happy to do that, to welcome and encourage companies to come and create technology in India and use the technology to meet the requirements of Indian Armed Forces, and also to export from India, make for the world from India. The second thing is, even if technology, those products for which technology is not available in India, those cases FDI is welcome, and we allow 74% FDI on automatic route and 100% with the simple permission to come and manufacture and provide for armed forces. So there is no necessity. I mean, it is a matter of choice for a foreign OEM that in such a case, if he would like to, without transferring technology, he can create his own subsidiary and manufacture and supply to armed forces, and it would be considered as per our DAP process.
Sir, in defense industry, apart from Army, Navy, Air Force, the cyber and space are added in the 21st century. Many countries are giving increased focus and attention on the cyber and space. In such a scenario, sir, apart from artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, drone technologies, which are the significant technologies that our defense ministry is focusing on, which are very important for the building capabilities, one, sir, and your priorities for the new financial year in terms of technology adoption and developments?
I think that's a great question, and I must compliment you for that question. I think I want to make two small points here. One is modern warfare is going to be very different from traditional warfare. We will see more cyber, we will see more space, we will see more underwater warfare. We will see more information warfare. And therefore, the new technologies that need to be developed will be more around this area. The second thing which I want to mention is that given our strength, given the strength of our technologies, given the strength of our human resource in digital technologies, this is an area where we find we have inherent strength. Like I mentioned, see, drones regulations were opened up in August 2021. And I mentioned about one example, but you see both in civil world and in defense world, we are seeing huge progress, and it will take me significant amount of time to describe some of the other wonderful work that our industry and startups are doing in the drone and counter drone area. Similarly, the space sector was opened up earlier, about a year plus back, which has generated a tremendous amount of traction in the space sector. the advantage that with the policy regulation being relaxed, with our inherent ability in these digital technologies, there is tremendous amount of opportunity for us in the modern technology domain. And if you look at several of the new projects that we have launched in our iDEX program, make one and make two program, those are in that direction. I must mention that only yesterday we have approved unmanned combat land vehicle. Now this is something which, and we see tremendous amount of excitement in the industry and the startup community to be able to, because unmanning is something which is a software driven, as you know, and there is tremendous capability in it. The hardware part of it is like any unmanned vehicle, for which technology, capability is today. We are making tanks, BMPs, guns, etc. A lot of things are being made, but the unmanning part is the innovation part, and there is tremendous amount of capability in the country. So the excitement is that unmanned combat land vehicle can be made in 12 months or 18 months. I mean, this is music to the ears. So yes, I think the modern warfare is going to be different. There is going to be much more use of modern technologies. Our new innovations are, see-through armor, where you are able to see through inside the tank. Sitting inside the tank, you can see all 360 around you, again software. So all these digital technology solutions can provide huge amount of advantage in defense technologies as far as we are concerned, and we are taking advantage of that to leapfrog. I must also mention that some of the traditional areas where we need to do a lot of work, where we have been lagging, some of these include, for example, aero engine, critical materials. We need to do a lot of work, and I think we do propose to initiate special efforts to be able to bridge some of these gaps. But in new technology areas, we are seeing great amount of interest and capability.
Dr. Ajay Kumar, thank you very much for talking to IT government, sir.
Thank you very much.